Hi, I'm Chelly Wood and this is my tiny sewing room where I make doll clothes sewing videos. I'm a little congested today, sorry about my voice. Today I'm going to show you how to make a pair of flat shoes that will fit velvet dolls, vintage Ideal Crissy dolls, and a number of other dolls from the Crissy family of dolls. They're made of craft felt and they're super easy to sew together. I do recommend that you sew them by hand. Before we begin, please go to chellywood.com to download and print this free PDF sewing pattern. I recommend that you only cut out the pieces for 1 foot at a time to avoid some confusion left to right. I'm going to start with the right foot pattern. Lay the right foot heels double notch against the right foot toes double notch. Stitch them together like you see here. Now I'm using gray thread so that you can see this better, but I recommend using a matching color of thread for your own shoes. Flip the heel piece back like this and lightly press the seam open. That's what I'm doing here. Connect the single notch of the toe piece to the single notch of the sole piece. Sew from the notch to the seam you've just pressed. Okay, so here's my toe in my left hand and my sole in my right hand, and I'm just going to connect them at that notch. As you sew around, you will need to move the felt to keep the sole aligned with the heel. So I start stitching right at the notch and I continue to sew. As I'm sewing, I have to kind of move the piece that has the heel and toe sewn together so that they line up with the sole's edge nicely. And that's all I mean by that. Continue stitching all the way around the heel. Now you will want to stop sewing just short of the very edge of the heel piece. And you'll see what I mean by that in just a second. So you don't want to go all the way to the very, very end. Here's a quick look at what we have made so far. Okay, so I started sewing right here at this notch and I've gone around the heel. I'm going to continue sewing until about where my thumbnail tip is right there. Okay, so you want to keep connecting until you get to about 1 centimeter from the edge of that heel piece, and then stop about 1 centimeter away from the edge of the heel piece. That's what I mean by the heel piece. Stop stitching a bit shy of that heel piece. Tie a knot here, leaving a small flap unstitched. So here I am showing you what I mean by this. I'm doing a back stitch here, and I'll put a link in the description below this video on YouTube so you can see what I mean by back stitch. I actually have a tutorial on the back stitch. And then I'm going to tie a knot before I get to the very, very, very end of that heel piece. See how there's a little flap open still? Here's how it looks from above. Flip it over and you're going to start working from the bottom of the sole. You're going to sew from the toes single notch where we started before to just shy of that spot where the toe meets the heel piece. Okay, so that's what I'm doing here. Again, I'm back stitching, filling it in from that notch to just shy of that ending. You'll have a little gap here, that's what you want. Pinch this gap between your finger and your thumb. Hold the toe flap and heel flaps together while stitching along the sole from toe to heel. Then stitch up the side that you've been holding together. Again, I'm using a back stitch and there will be a link below for that. Okay, so I've finished attaching the sole to all of the upper pieces. It's completely attached. Just like this side, I need to stitch this side from the bottom up. Okay? So that's what I'm going to do here. Again, I'm using my back stitch. Just bringing the needle through and back around to try and connect that side piece. And when you get to the top, then you'll want to tie a little knot. Sorry, I went a little off camera here. It's so tiny, it's easy to do that. I apologize for that. I try to stay in the camera. And now I'm ready for my knot. So once you've closed off this heel toe side seam, your shoe should look like this on both sides. And here's a front view, I'm looking at the toe, and here's a back view, I'm looking at the heel, a little different angle of the heel. Clip your seams now, like you see me doing in this next video segment. So I'm clipping all the way around. Go slow and gentle. I of course speed up my videos for your benefit, for time, but yeah, I go really slow. Invert your shoe, and that's what I'm doing right here. Hopefully you're using a sturdy felt so that it doesn't rip. You can add embellishments like this little satin rose or a little bow, or a shaped button, or maybe even a buckle. But these are optional, of course. You've finished the right shoe. Follow the same exact directions for the left shoe, but be wary, it's going to have a mirror image. Okay, so remember that your images will be opposite of what you're seeing in the video. Once you've completed both shoes, you're ready to try them on a doll. For more free printable sewing patterns, for doll clothes to fit dolls of many shapes and all different sizes, please remember to visit my website, chellywood.com. What if there was an easy way to take a big doll pattern and resize it to fit a little doll, or vice versa? I'm Chelly Wood, the doll clothing designer, and in my pattern alteration class, I'm going to share with you my resizing formula. Pattern alteration is when you take a pattern that you already own and you make changes to it. Let's say a dress doesn't fit your doll quite right. I'll show you how to create a gusset to extend the dress's bodice. Along the same lines, I'll show you how to use a doll's body measurements to lengthen and shorten shirt sleeves, and to recreate the pants patterns you already own so they will fit dolls of different shapes and sizes. Following my instructions, you'll learn how to reshape dresses and skirts, making them fuller or less full depending on the look you're going for. With this collection of more than 40 videos, you'll use my measurement guide and dozens of tips and tricks to create a full wardrobe for the doll or dolls of your choice. I invite you to join me. We are going to have so much fun.